Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you have joined us. Welcome to today's session where we'll be covering crucial strategies required to boost your sales by 5x. So before we start, let me quickly explain how this webinar will flow. So it'll be a 45-minute session and there'll be a quick introduction about the speakers, and then there'll be a panel discussion for another 30 minutes. And the last 15 minutes will be reserved for Q&A, where you can shoot your questions and our speakers here will be glad to answer them for you. Right, so this is Anuja and I take care of content and marketing here at Vajro. I'll be the host for this session. And we have an amazing panel of speakers here, Bo, the SDR manager at Sezzle, and Ethan, the CEO of EK Creative. And I've been working with them for some time now, and I know for a fact that they have unparalleled expertise in their respective areas of e-commerce. So it's always better to hear from the horse's mouth. So Bo, can you tell us something about yourself and Sezzle?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Anuja. My name is Bo. I've been with Sezzle for just about 3 years now. I'm currently in a dual role, so I'm managing the SDR team, which is primarily involved with outreach to potential merchants. And then I'm also an account executive, so that's dealing with conversations, exploring how a buy now, pay later can impact the business and their shoppers. So that's what Sezzle is. We're a buy now, pay later, and we're here to financially empower the next generation. We do this by giving shoppers the option to split their purchase into smaller installments based on cart size. And this can help shoppers by giving them a budgeting tool or providing shopper-friendly access to credit for shoppers that might be subprime or don't have any sort of credit history.
Right, impressive. Ethan, your turn. Tell us about yourself and what EK Creative does.
Yeah. So, EK Creative is a performance growth marketing company. We specialize in working with live sellers and social shoppers as well. And, we've been around for around 2 years. I'm the CEO. I have over 10 years in advertising and performance marketing experience. And really, we started out just as a small team looking to really rewrite what an ad agency can be. And, we've evolved over time to even more than just an ad agency with performance marketing and consultancy services within live shopping. And, 2 years later and, almost 330 million in client revenue generated for clients. I like to think we're definitely doing some things right. But I also like to think part of that is because we really take a different perspective. I think instead of your traditional e-commerce agency just driving traffic right back to a website, we look at the full shopping experience, whether it be your social media presence, your buy now, pay later platforms, your app, for example, and try and curate a really just enhanced level of shopping experience for our clients. And obviously with the goal of being driving their monthly revenue up, month over month.
How impressive, clearly. Okay, so guys, let me reiterate the importance of today's session on, how to fuel e-commerce store conversions by 5x. So why did we choose this topic and why is it important? So most e-commerce store owners like you would have spent huge chunks of money on customer acquisition, right? So that's it. Imagine if you could increase the conversion rates of these users and engage with them in more meaningful ways. Nothing like that, right? So you could possibly, absolutely increase your sales in the long run. And the purpose of this webinar is to enlighten you on how you could adopt modern technologies to increase your conversions. Without further ado, let's begin the session. Bo, you could take this one. So Sezzle has come a long way helping e-commerce brands provide financial freedom to online shoppers. How has e-commerce space changed with respect to payment methods?
Yeah, that's a great question. The payment space is one of the fastest growing and changing spaces in e-commerce. Gone are the days of only having a credit card processor at checkout. Because of this, Sezzle is aiming to be a payments ecosystem that merchants can offer shoppers so that there will always be an option that works best for them. In the past few years, merchants have found that by giving shoppers more payment methods to choose from typically works best. So we got our start doing 4 interest-free payments over 6 weeks. It worked well because shoppers typically get paid every 2 weeks. So our pay in 4 option allows them to stay in budget by syncing it into their payday cycles. We also found that a lot of our merchant partners and shoppers were requesting longer terms. So we launched a monthly payment option for higher ticketed items, giving shoppers more time to pay later. Most recently, we're close to launching a pay in 2 and a pay now option to move closer to a payments ecosystem that we really have envisioned for merchants. This will ultimately lead the shopper to having more trust in your brand. The pay in 2 and pay in full options will help build higher spending limits. It can also help build credit for Sezzle up shoppers and shift them away from subprime to prime shoppers. So to answer your question, by adding Sezzle, many merchants will see an AOV lift, increased conversions, especially on higher ticketed items, 50% decrease in returns, and an overall decrease in shopping cart abandonment, all from coming from the payment method that they offer.
Great. Thank you, Bo. Ethan, similar question for you. E-commerce has evolved over time, and now that you've worked with a lot of e-commerce brands, what similarities and differences do you see in the e-commerce space?
Yeah, definitely. And it certainly has. And it's kind of interesting to think because, e-commerce is still, in its infancy, but has still developed and grown so much over the years. I always think about, stealing my dad's credit card when I was younger and buying something online, and, the skepticism that your parents used to have about buying online and entering your card info. And, now fast forward, you think about Apple Pay and buy now, pay later, and integrated with your bank. There's just, it's evolved so much. I do think like fundamentally the basics are still the same, right? You have to have a great product. You have to provide a great level of service. And, once you have those things, I think now the big difference is just the opportunities to be able to get that stuff in front of people's eyes. Social commerce is just such a force when you think about where people are spending their time and how they're using the internet now, right? It's on social media. You have the internet in your pocket versus, when e-commerce was really first getting going in the .com era and everything. When it was very much sitting at the front of the computer, right? Desktop, you're buying there. I think now mobile is obviously huge, but people are discovering products on these social media platforms, and then, going back and either purchasing, either potentially even on the platform, or going back to the website. And I think buyers have been trained to expect more, whether it's like chat on a website, whether it's a live shopping experience, whether it's an app that has exclusive releases, or again, the flexibility of a buy now, pay later. I think that dynamic has definitely shifted where, traditionally, I think e-commerce was very straightforward. Now I think buyers are somewhat in the driver's seat, and they do really expect a curated experience. And so if you can grab their attention through social media and use that to drive product discovery, but then you can use more of your own platforms to continue to engage and continue to entertain them, and obviously drive repeat purchases, track your most valuable customers, integrate whether it's email marketing flows or SMS now. There's just so many ways to drive up those conversion rates at this point. But I think the biggest thing has been where people are really discovering products, which is much more on social, versus I think traditionally e-commerce was very search driven. And that's really just presented a whole lot of opportunities, I think, for brands to try new things, connect with their users in different ways, and take what they're offering to their customers to a new level as well.
Definitely. I mean, end of the day, it's all about the customer's shopping experience, and you give them value, you give them a seamless experience, they keep coming back to you. That is
definitely
all there is. Okay. So
reducing the friction, I think, is a great way to look at it.
Definitely, yeah. Okay. To what extent are end users adopting BNPL technologies? So do you think there'll be any significant changes in payment methods in the coming years?
Yeah, I do. I think end users will continue to adopt the buy now, pay later capabilities. We saw huge increases in new users over the last few years with our 40,000 plus merchant partners. And I would expect the usage to be higher this year due to the environment that we find ourselves in. Inflation's at an all-time high. Shoppers are being more careful about following a budget and avoiding credit card interest rates. So this is where a shopper-friendly option like Sezzle can step in and give shoppers exactly what they are needing during this difficult time. From what we're seeing, many merchants now offer some sort of buy now, pay later option. The conversation has switched away from if we should offer one to which one is right for us, or how many should we offer at checkout.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay, next one is for you, Ethan. How do you think end users perceive live selling, and what is it with live selling that attracts end users? And is it popular among a specific demographics or age groups? What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, so this is something that we're always kind of discussing as a team internally, and it's a great question. I think end users and how they perceive live selling really comes back to their experiences with it. So if someone has never ever heard of live shopping or even tuned into a live, their experience is going to be very different than someone who's maybe more familiar with it, right? So have they been exposed or not, I think is the biggest place to start. If they haven't been exposed, there has to be education around it. One of the biggest mistakes we see people make with live shopping is they just go live and they expect people to understand that they're showcasing products and that they can be purchased and that they can ask questions and all this. And what you get is very one-sided communication. And so I think when you're looking at live shopping, you have to make sure that your hosts are really explaining how it works and almost educating those users on how they actually shop in the platform, right? Whether they're watching a live on social, whether they're watching it in an app, right? Where can they purchase? And they sort of had to be, their hand needs to be held, right? And shown this. And we've actually had clients flip their phones around and show people devices and say, this is how you buy, right? I think also it's really important that the education doesn't stop or doesn't live only on the live. Whether you're running paid media or whether you're showcasing these on your site, whether you're talking about it through an email and inviting them, you need to kind of hit shoppers from all these different angles, because one shopper might really love checking their emails. Another one might, have notifications when they're following you on Instagram, right? So they're all in these different places. I think to really see the benefits of live shopping, you want to be communicating and educating at all these different points and showing them exactly how it works. For newer users, or for people who have been exposed to live shopping, I think they get it much quicker. And for them, it's a little bit more about like showing them exactly like the nuances of whatever platform you're using for it. But it's important, like live shopping is still new. I think though, it's been really awesome to see live itself develop. And I think live is something that people are very familiar with, whether you're on Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, right? The concept of a creator or a brand going live now is accepted. It's something that people love. I think COVID really helped to accelerate this. But the shopping component and the benefits of that is definitely something that you need more education around. I do think once customers get used to it and they can see, wow, I can interact with this host, I can ask these questions, and this is much faster for me than spending hours searching on a website, scrolling through endless SKUs just to find maybe one item I'm not so sure about, versus hopping on a live, asking the brand or the host themselves, hey, I have a wedding coming up and I need a blue jacket. What do you recommend? Or seeing them showcase things and talk about the material and how it feels, right? I think that's what attracts it to them, right? There's an efficiency component to it, but there's also a connection. And at the end of the day, people love buying from people. And when you're scrolling on a website and you don't have that person-to-person relationship, it's much easier to just abandon what you're doing, right? Versus I think when you're interacting with a person, you're developing a relationship with them, you're communicating, you feel a much stronger rapport to not just that person in the moment, but that brand, I think, long-term. And I think users actually really, really like that aspect of it. With regards to if it's popular among specific demographics or age groups, we definitely see popularity, I think, across the board. I do think like age groups wise, an older demographic is going to be used to a little bit more of a slower stream versus a younger one who's used to the Twitch environments of text overlays and graphics and more chaoticness, if you will. But we've really seen it work with both. I also think, popular demographics, when I think about some of our clients where their customers are living very busy lifestyles, they have 3 kids, they're working, they're prioritizing family time, and they might not have time to go to the mall, right, and experience the product in person, but they want that level of service. And I think live shopping really helps to replace that. We've seen it be very popular among that, like, I would say 25 to 40 demographic as well. And then products wise, I mean, we've really seen it work across the board, but I do think there's some natural ones like fashion, apparel, beauties, cosmetics, and collectibles that have the most traction in the US right now.
Great. Yeah, beautifully said, Ethan. Can't agree more to that. Next question is for the audience. So let me quickly put up a poll here. Okay, most of you are business owners. So according to you, how many percentage of shoppers do you think abandon their carts for various reasons? It can be slow, poor responsiveness on the site or mobile app, extra shipping charges, and improper payment methods or whatever they're not expecting. So let me quickly put up a poll here. I'll make it available for 10 seconds. Yes, go ahead.
I just will say this happens to me all the time personally.
I would say that too. I mean, most of the times it's the shipping charges and no cash on delivery. Yeah.
Totally.
All right. So yes, most of them have answered. I'll just end the poll here. All right. So I'm just, is the result there up on the screen? Right. So you can see the results, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So let me quickly say this. From reports and statistics, what we see is that 70 to 80% of people abandon their carts. So yeah, absolutely right, audience. Well done. So that said, Bo, how critical is offering flexible payment methods for e-commerce businesses? Now that we saw most of them abandon their carts, I'm pretty sure that inflexible payment methods should be one of the main reasons people abandon their carts. So what do you think? How critical is offering BNPL solutions?
Yeah, as mentioned previously, I think it's critical to have an option available for shoppers, but for a few reasons you might not think about right away. So shoppers will be looking for this. And as Ethan mentioned earlier, buyers are in the driver's seat now. So if you don't offer one, they may be looking for somewhere else, maybe something similar to complete the purchase. In fact, another value prop that we bring our merchants is sending net new shoppers their way from our internal promotion. We've got email campaigns, social media pages, and a store directory that we feature our brand partnerships to our shopper base. We see a majority of Sezzle transactions are from net new shoppers with many of our retail partners. So our shoppers are going to Sezzle's channels to figure out other places that they can Sezzle their purchase. The reason that they do this is because of the budget-friendly payment options that they know that they will see at checkout. We are also the first and only in this space to be a certified B Corp, which is important to a lot of shoppers. And then we also offer credit building opportunities through a program called Sezzle Up. So shoppers can actually opt into credit reporting by their Sezzle payments, and we can actually help build up people's credit score through their payment option. So for those reasons, a lot of shoppers are checking out the store directory that we have. We feature our merchant partners there, and we're able to drive traffic to their site from that channel. Right. Merchants get this at no, sorry, do you have a question?
No, I mean, go ahead. I was just wondering, yeah.
So they get that at like no additional cost. Many are seeing that because of this, the cost of acquisition of a Sezzle shopper is much more valuable and inexpensive than other channels. On top of this, the Sezzle shopper has an increased lifetime value due to an 89% repeat purchase rate. So again, going back to the experience that the shopper has, they enjoy the experience that they have with Sezzle. They're coming back and completing more purchases through this payment option. We also have top 10% of our shoppers transact over 49 times per year, which is pretty high. So to answer your question, I think this is very critical to have, and there's a lot of value props that you can obtain just by adding a simple payment option like Sezzle.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So another question for you, audience. How many percentage of businesses use live commerce? What do you think? I'll run it for another couple of seconds. Go ahead.
Next question should be how many percentages of businesses should be using it too?
You could answer that, Ethan.
Yeah, I might be a little biased on that one.
All right, so I'll end the poll here. Yeah, okay. So they say it's less than 30%, 54% of them have voted that. Only 23% is saying it's 30 to 50 and 15% think it's 50 to 70. Okay, so Ethan, I would just give it to you. You could explain this. What do you think about this?
Yeah, so it's interesting to see that. I do think in reality, it's a bit higher than what the audience thinks, closer to like 70, 80% of businesses have tried this. I think that's different than people who are using it super regularly, but I do think it's a concept that a lot of people are aware of and know, hey, this is something we should be doing. But I think they get a little bit of a hiccup when maybe it's like, how do we implement or how do we start? And so if those are the case, we have tons of content on that online, so definitely check it out. But I definitely think that's a bit lower than I was expecting. And I think in reality, it's again closer to that 70 or 80% of businesses that have used live selling to connect with their shoppers.
Right. So audience, I'll be troubling you with two more, but yeah, I'll just pop up another message. So guess the number of BNPL users in 2022 globally right now. So how many users you think, how many shoppers you think use buy now, pay later options? Great to see the results coming.
Yeah, I know it's been something that we've used in ad copy, featured on websites, and it's provided lifts for us. And we see it for buy now, pay later. The amount of people who are purchasing first time with buy now, pay later seems to be significantly higher. And so one of the things we did was started featuring that in ad copy to like new users and cold audiences. And we've seen those ads, it could be exactly the same copy content with buy now, pay later as an option or featuring Sezzle. And we see those convert at a higher rate, probably anywhere from like 20 to 30% higher. So it's pretty significant.
Right. Okay, I'll end the poll here and I'll share the results. So most of them think it's only 100 million people using BNPL globally, but I would be, you'll be surprised to hear that there are 360 million people that are currently using BNPL method during shopping. How crazy is that? Okay, but now that I mentioned that, how do you think Sezzle helps e-commerce stores improve conversion rates, considering the huge number of shoppers using BNPL, something that Sezzle is an expert at?
Yeah, Sezzle can really help drive conversion rates. A lot of times it's for those higher ticketed items that you might have, which we can help increase average order value lift by 25% plus. But also it's kind of like what Ethan talked about, is capturing a new type of Sezzle shopper. As far as conversion rates go on the website, they both kind of start with our Sezzle widget. We break down the price into 4 interest-free installments, so shoppers can see the low upfront cost of using Sezzle before they actually reach the payment gateway. We've seen a big impact from having that widget on the product detail pages, and really just help shoppers know that option is going to be available for them. Like Ethan mentioned earlier too, educating the shopper about Sezzle early and often is critical to conversions. So the merchant partners that we have that use education from banners or frequently asked question pages typically see higher conversion rates than just having the Sezzle widget. Another cool thing that we can do with our partners is co-branded assets, specifically targeting abandoned carts. So like we were also talking about earlier, a lot of the drop off that might happen. A lot of merchants are targeting those abandoned carts with some sort of email, and having Sezzle on that email, letting them know that you can complete this purchase for just 25% at checkout, and be able to budget that and extend that out into the future, can really give the shopper confidence that they need to go back and complete the purchase, and also be more likely to come back and make another purchase. For conversion rates, we've done A/B testing in the past with some of our larger retail partners. We found just by having the Sezzle widget, conversions increased overall on both Sezzle and non-Sezzle checkouts, anywhere from like 10% to even 50% in one case study. So overall, shoppers just feel more confident moving forward in the buying process, knowing that an option that works well for them will be there at checkout, and that just overall increases conversions.
Great. So I have a chat here. Jasmine, can we answer this question towards the end of the session now that we have a dedicated Q&A session towards the end? So I hope that helps. We'll definitely answer your question. Okay, so there's one last poll for the audience. Please don't curse me. This is the last one, I swear. Okay, that's the question for you. Yes, by how many times live commerce boosts conversion rates than conventional e-commerce? Please ignore the title of this webinar. I know it says 5x, but go with your gut feeling. Just answer this question. All right. So I'll have it for another 5 seconds. Great. I'll share the results now. Ethan, you should be happy seeing this. Yeah, so yeah, 50% of people think live commerce helps boost conversion rates by 10 times. What do you have to say about that, Ethan?
Yeah, it's interesting because for me, I work in it so much that it really doesn't surprise me that much to see the response, but I'm really happy to see it. We've definitely seen that too. I mean, a typical live sale might have a conversion rate of 10, 15, we've even seen 20%. And when you compare that with just website traffic on a typical e-commerce store, I know generally speaking, like 1 to 3 is sort of like a benchmark. 3 or higher seems to be pretty good. So when you start talking about 10 or 20% for conversions, I mean, that's just drastic difference. So it's really awesome to see that the audience kind of understands that. And I think talks to the power of live shopping and that person-to-person connection that you can build that really does translate to conversion.
Right, totally agree, can't agree more. Okay, that's the end of questions from my end. So it's time for some juicy questions from the audience here. Guys, the floor is yours. We are right on track. And yeah, feel free to shoot your questions. I have already received 2 questions. One was from Jasmine. How to do that? Jasmine, it's not pretty clear. I know this was meant for Bo, but can you again type in the question here?
She may have been referring to the abandoned cart email templates that we have. I can talk about that, and then if it was something else, Jasmine can just jump in the chat here. But yeah, we offer co-branded assets. So once you get a Sezzle account, sign up, integrate onto your website or your app, whatever your situation is, we would have a brand asset page you can go to, and you can use the Sezzle co-branded assets to call out the fact that we have pay in 4 at checkout, or maybe it's monthly payments depending on where your price value is at. But just giving the shopper the education and reaffirming to them that there is an option out there that they might need, and they may be dropped off because of price or something. So it's a great addition to abandoned cart email templates. It's an easy add. So yeah, I hope that answered your question, Jasmine.
Yeah, and it's just to follow up on that, something we do on our abandoned cart, even view content, emails as well. And I think just seeing that sort of icon really does establish trust. It's kind of like on checkout pages when you have, the different payment credit card forms. I think it's an added thing that just really helps to add trust to the buying process. And we always feature it in those emails.
Okay, cool. So Jasmine says it's something I need to add to my own template. Right.
Yeah, and we can we have a account management team too. So if you email accounts@sezzle.com, we'd be happy to help out with creating that template for you. We've got plenty of examples we can send your way to give you some ideas on how you can make it.
Great. Right. Another question is from Kassia. What are the guarantees with BNPL for the seller? I always hear they will back out and keep the product. Genuine worry.
That's a huge thing that merchants ask about, and we assume all risk for non-payment with the shopper. So after how payment works with the merchant is the shopper pays us with our paying for option is 25% at checkout. The next business day is when we pay you for the full order value, minus the processing fee that we charge, which is the only fee with Sezzle. We send out that money directly to your bank account the next business day. And then if the shopper were to miss any of those remaining 3 payments, that would never come back to you. That's between us and the shopper at that point. A little bit more about how that works for the shopper is we try to be as shopper friendly as possible. But we also follow your return or refund policy too. So if you were to initiate some sort of return or refund, you could do that through your typical e-commerce dashboard, and that would talk to our Sezzle system, and we would cancel future payments, refund the shopper. So that's that situation.
Okay. Yes, I hope that answers your question. We have another one from Mohammed. Best practice in live sell to augment the audience, please. Ethan, you would have to take that.
Yeah, definitely. So, I think it starts with your pre-promotion phase for any live sale, and, kind of having tracking on your back end to know who's attended and who's not. There's a variety of ways you can do this depending on really where you're streaming live. If you're streaming on your website, it's a little bit easier. You obviously have you can pull customer data around past purchase lists, and you can kind of create different audiences, whether it's in your email, whether it's on your ad campaigns of people that maybe have bought from your lives, right? Or people I think the 3 that we always think about is someone who's never attended a live, right? Someone who's attended a live and not purchased, and then someone who's attended a live and purchased. And we try and create those audience segments on each different platform. And so if we're using Facebook, we'll use customer data, or we'll use custom conversions. So if you have ekkcreative.com/live, right? I can actually create an audience of people who have visited that URL, and I can have that automatically update on Facebook, and I can have the message there be different than someone who's visited my website, but hasn't visited ekkcreative.com/live. So you're able to segment out really based off their activity. And so, you can do that in a number of ways as well. On Facebook, though, custom audiences would definitely be the way I would do it if you're streaming on your website or your app. If you are doing it on platform, there are some cool things you can do there. If you're promoting the live, you can create campaigns off of that, or you can create an audience based off video views, and then you can exclude or include depending on your messaging, right? So if you do an audience based off video views, and then your live is over and you want to say thank you to those people, you would go in, create the custom audience based off people who viewed that post on social media, or maybe visited your /live on your website in a certain amount of days. And then you'd show them ad creative kind of thanking them. And that sort of strategy can be applied across the board for pre, during, and post live promotion. So again, be sure to use custom audiences. It's one of the most powerful things you can do on Facebook. And again, depending on where the actual stream is taking place, you can segment your audiences out accordingly.
What do you think about the mobile app? Going live through your mobile app. How different do you think it is from Facebook or website?
Yeah. So we always tell our clients we love using social media to attract new users. It's where their attention is. It's where people hang out these days on the internet. So it's a great way to get them back, right? And exposed to your brand, right? But we love own platforms, apps specifically, as a way to really drive up the retention and the conversion rates. Someone who buys 1 time is not the same as someone who buys 5, right? And so we actually see this, if you get, and we've seen this with a few clients, if you get that first purchase to actually take place on the mobile app versus, a website, the repeat purchase rate, it can be 3 to 4 times higher. And that's really, really significant. So we definitely like to use social media to attract new users, but we really like to focus on the app as a way to drive up the lifetime value. And it allows us to make the most use of our marketing dollars that way too, where we can really focus on those conversions. And then I see Jasmine's question there too. To drive app downloads, it's very similar. So you can actually connect your app to Facebook, to Google, and to TikTok. And so you can create audiences the same way you do off someone who's visited your website or purchased on your website. You can do that through an app, which is really, really cool and powerful. So, we have some documents on how to connect that. I know, the team, will really help to get you up to speed there. And it's been really helpful for us if we run into any clients who are having issues or having issues on ourselves, getting it connected. So I would just encourage everyone, if you have an app, definitely make sure it's integrated into your tracking within the social media platforms. And then you'll be able to create custom audiences based off activity there. And you'll be able to create campaigns that optimize for downloads. So, on Facebook, the same way you can optimize for a purchase on a website, you can optimize for a purchase on the app. And same with Google. Google is actually really easy too, because it's connected to the Google Play Store. So even if you don't do all this sort of connecting on the back end, you can actually drive app downloads that way straight through Google. And we've seen the cost be really, really cheap too.
Definitely can't agree more, Ethan. So Shai has asked, where are you suggesting people stream? How is streaming happening from a mobile app? What app? So Shai, let me take that question. So Vajro, in case you don't have this background knowledge about Vajro, Vajro helps e-commerce stores build mobile apps for their stores. And contrary to the typical app development practice, Vajro helps you build mobile app with just drag and drop functionalities in a jiffy. So Vajro has a live selling platform called Blink. So it is super easy for you to just host live sales or live selling. Just go live from your mobile app, and you can already parallelly play it on Facebook. So it's as simple as that. Coming from this m-commerce background, like what you said, Ethan, I can't agree more on how comfortable it is for shoppers to go live and increase their customer lifetime value. So I definitely cannot agree more on that. We have heard from our customers themselves. So we have seen how they grow, right? Like they compare their website traffic to mobile traffic, and how live selling is performing, and they're super happy. So we know what live selling does to their business. I totally agree to whatever you mentioned here.
Definitely. And just real quick too, with regards to where we suggest people stream, we think it really depends. I mean, I will say, we don't see a one size fits all. I don't think you should only be streaming in one place. We like it when it's really more of a mix. So when you might be streaming on one platform with the goal of new users, right? Like a social media, but then have an exclusive sale on your Vajro app where you're live with your VIP customers, right? And giving them a totally different experience. And then, for your big Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale, you want as many eyeballs as you can. So that's one that really should be on the app, on social media, right? On your website, if you can. So we really create a schedule of live streams, figure out who you're targeting with those specific streams, and then pick the appropriate platforms that way, but definitely include a mix. I think the one thing I would say is definitely caution against a sort of only use one sort of destination 100% of the time. We definitely like to sort of mix it up depending on what the goal of that stream is and who we're really talking to.
Definitely. I think I would have missed a question from Shanta here. Since Shopify promotes Shop, would there be any conflict by adding the Sezzle co-branded assets? So we would love to take that.
Yeah, there's no conflict. Shop Pay is something that Shopify added maybe a few years ago with a buy now, pay later capability. We've actually been dual installed with Shop Pay, but also even triple installed or quadruple installed with other buy now, pay laters. Again, going back to just giving shoppers an option that they want to choose. So there's no problem in adding Sezzle alongside Shop Pay. As far as the co-branded assets go, you can use ours in any place that you need to. And the widget, we can have both of them show up. We've got a dual widget. So underneath the price, it would say, or 4 interest-free payments of X using Sezzle or Shop Pay. You can have one widget, you can have both widgets. There's a lot of options you can do, but really there's no conflict, and it's actually something that I'd probably recommend adding both.
Santa, I hope that answers your question. Does Vajro allow you to stream live on multiple social media platforms? Definitely, yes. You can go live on Facebook as well as through your mobile app. TikTok, not right now. Instagram. We are working on that. So right now you can go live through Facebook as well as your mobile app.
These are some great questions too.
Definitely, yeah. Really appreciate, guys. I may need a consult to help me work on the co-branded assets piece.
Yeah, we can help with that. If you want to reach out to me after this, I can loop you in with our account management team.
Great. Guys, any more questions? We are right on track. Time is.
And as far as like setup goes, Shanta, we can get it set up in Shopify in about 15 minutes or so. It's actually a very simple process. We would have you fill out an application, our team would review it, and then we would have you set up a bank account. And our integration is essentially downloading the Sezzle app on the Shopify store and then copy and pasting some API keys in the right spot. So we could totally get this still set up before Black Friday. It is available on Wix. Wix is a very easy integration. We also have an integration specialist. So if API keys scare you, it's no problem. I know it can be daunting for a lot of people, but we've got people that can jump on a quick call with you, make sure that you're putting them in the right places, and it can be a very quick setup call.
Right, there's another question from Jasmine. Can we have the email for abandoned cart?
Yeah, I think trying to think what would be the best way to get that out. Jasmine and Shanta, I mean, if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I can totally send you over some of the co-branded assets that we have. A lot of examples that you can use. Not sure if there's a better way to connect after the webinar, but I think that's one way that we could do it.
Great. Thank you, Gideon. Thank you for that. Does the Vajro website have case studies with links to businesses using live app? Definitely yes. I'll do one thing. So after this webinar, when I send you the recording, I'll also send across a set of materials that you can refer to, maybe from both Bo and Ethan. We'll combine all the collaterals that you could refer to, and I think that will be super helpful.
Definitely.
That's a funny one from Shanta. Shanta, Gideon has shared the email addresses here, so you can, feel free to reach out to us via LinkedIn, email. How much of a financial commitment will it take to utilize your app integration? Jeremy, I am not sure who that is directed to.
I think they might be asking about pricing for using the app and how that works.
Like I said, yeah. Yes. So, okay, I'll again share. We are running very short of time, so I'll share all these materials with you. And I would also, I would also like to say that Sezzle is offering a discount for Vajro customers exclusively. So maybe that you could utilize that when it's, yeah. So I'll share all the details on mail when I send the recording of this webinar. So, okay. So can we wrap the session up? No more new questions? Yes, we are on time. So yeah. So thank you for joining, Bo and Ethan. You guys were totally amazing. And guys, thank you so much for the wonderful questions, and you've been an amazing audience. So please feel free to reach out to us on email IDs or LinkedIn. All of us are pretty active there. So just let us know if you have any questions, and we'll be super glad to answer them for you. Thank you again, guys. You guys have been very amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bo. Thank you, Ethan. Have
Thank you,
a great
everybody.
DFCM, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yes. Shanta, definitely I'll be reaching out to you on mail. Great. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.